In this video, I'm going to catch you up on what I've been doing, what tools I've been using online, what projects I'm continuing to work on, and my amazing progress. So stay tuned. Forgive me, I'm still learning this. I'm still new at creating these YouTube videos, relatively new. I mean, I haven't been around for a long time, but I'm making remarkable progress. Ultimately, I want to create videos on the level of Amazon Prime Video, Hulu. I want to create substantial documentaries and entertaining content because I've always been aspiring to be a filmmaker, be a storyteller. My dream goal had been to go to Hollywood and become a story writer, a television series showrunner, a filmmaker. I'm definitely in that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, especially Steven Spielberg line. So what have I been doing behind the scenes? Well, I have a new ring light in front of me, and I'm going to get better lighting. Behind me, the green curtain is actually for matting shots. It's my green screen. I'm in a little corner in my apartment, so space is really, really tricky right now. And this is a thought that comes to mind frequently because I'm in an apartment and I'm currently unemployed. I've been laid off since last August 8th. And on the one hand, I'm very proud of myself, very proud of the progress I've been making on this channel, this one avenue, aside from songwriting, this one avenue that I have to express my ideas and my thoughts and build myself towards being a creator. Maybe you've seen Batman, Batman Begins, where he's crawling out of the pit. There are memes like that in society. There are images of trying to be more than you, trying to be more, simply. There's a famous painting, I think it's by Leonardo da Vinci, where you have Adam reaching out and God reaching out, and there's this little synapse, this little gap between the two fingers. In the Bible, there's the character of Jacob, who even in the womb, his mother's womb, he's struggling with his brother to try and be the first one to be born so that he can be titled to, he can have rights to claim to be the firstborn. And he grabs his brother's heel just as his brother is about to be born. And there's that meme, there's that that struggle that a lot of people have. Tell me if you've had this, where you've felt that you really are capable of being more than you are now. In fact, there's a Madonna song, Vogue. There's at least one lyric that speaks to that. I don't know how many people actually listen to the lyrics to Vogue, but that's another one of those moments where somebody expresses wanting to be more than what they are right now, or at least what situation they're stuck in right now. And I felt like that a lot. I can relate to Luke Skywalker being on Tatooine, being on a farming planet, and his father having been a famous Jedi, and he doesn't know much about his father. And please, no spoilers, even though it's like a 50-something, 48-year-old film. No spoilers. But just trying to get out of the spot where he finds himself in, not necessarily of his own making, just trying to demonstrate that he's more. And I'm going to go personal right now. This is great. I don't have to edit as much as I thought I did. I want to go personal. I want to talk about my classmates in school, not about them, but about my desire to demonstrate the kind of person, the kind of creative person I am, the amount of talent I've had that sadly, I don't know if they really had time or took the opportunity or just knew enough about me to notice my talents. And of course, I didn't socialize in school all that much because I saw there being this wide gap, just a communication, just I felt ostracized. I felt like they wouldn't understand me. So that's why I didn't socialize a lot at school. Boy, holding this microphone, there's something about holding this microphone that really helps me feel like I'm actually talking to somebody. I don't have to edit as much. So I'm not so out of breath. So I want to talk about the setup I have and my projects and where I'm going with this channel. I'm going to move to Kentucky. No, I'm not. No, I'm surprised. I'm joking. I have a ring light in front of me, and I have my iMac. I'm using that as my camera. It's a built-in camera in my 2015, late 2015 iMac. It's all about funding, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Buy me a coffee account. I want to have more than one camera. I want to produce documentaries on the production level of Hulu and other streaming services. You've seen my opening videos, my opening trailer, and so forth. In some sense, this video is my excuse to test out these features. I've moved on from iMovie as my video editor to using CapCut 2. And I'm using OBS as my streaming app to be able to insert countdown and other things for when I go live, and I'll learn more about that. What I'm also really excited about is the video generation, the me generation, the Pepsi generation. The video generation. I started off using, using AI. A friend of mine who's a musician, a professional musician, I wanted to consult with him about my music stint. I don't know necessarily if I want to call it a career. I want to call it a career. That's where my female impersonation comes in. I've talked about Gray Phillips, who that's her female persona name when she's performing. But she had a career dressing up in drag as a woman and performing. And there's a whole story behind that. So I'm following her. I want to follow in her dress, basically follow in her high-heeled shoes. And that gives me an opportunity to share my own experiences. For one, I just like the idea of illusion. I like dressing up. And one of the most impressive illusions would be to dress in drag and pull it off seriously. I guess I'm going off on a tangent, but I'll just mention this just in case it just in case it floats out of my mind and I can't remember it later on. My first documentary I have in mind to create once I become official for this channel, file paperwork and so forth, and that goes into that involves my Buy Me a Coffee. I'm going to go into my Buy Me a Coffee account and revise that. I have a wish list now that I know now where to put that wish list in my Buy Me a Coffee account. I have as my first goal, because you can't have two goals simultaneously. My first goal will be raising money, aside from raising money for the individual items in the wish list, like 2 cameras to get, if you've ever seen a documentary, get a straight on angle and then a side angle to cut back and forth from. So it's not just a front angle, just one angle all the time when you're on camera, and getting hidden microphones so that the person being interviewed can be able to talk without having a large boom mic. I'll have to investigate that further. I'm just so excited about pulling this off. In some sense, now that I think about it, I have another illusion I'm trying to pull off. In addition to creating kind of like a music career out of female impersonation, I have creating content, creating documentaries, creating entertainment, fictional videos and so forth, comparable to what you may see in a movie trailer or in a television episode, a television series, because I've got loads and loads of ideas for television series, and that's why I have a separate account. Aside from YouTube, I have a Vimeo account, and I keep all those videos private so that, well, those are intended for executives and professionals who can take me to the next level and collaborate with me in some capacity. I can be able to share a link to those privated videos on Vimeo. So they're not for the public as of yet, but the account is there. And I want to make my Visionary Ventures Productions name official. I have a domain name for samanthebahar.com, which is the name of my female alter ego. Going back to the music. So anyway, to finish up the thought about this channel being another exercise in creating illusion, I want to create the illusion that I am running a streaming platform that you'd see on Hulu. That's why I added the countdown at the beginning, and I worked so hard with AI generation and other tools like Blender and CapCut for video editing, and I may get that affiliate marketing commission thing yet if I keep mentioning these products. I'll be doing those too. I joined with Amazon. I joined the affiliate program. So I'll have to produce videos that will be sincere, that will be genuine. They will be videos on products you can see, you can look for on Amazon and other sites. But I don't want to just hype stuff that I haven't tested myself and I don't personally endorse. So I joined Amazon, the Amazon affiliate program. Please don't tell Amazon that I sometimes trip over my words. I'll become better. And Fourth Wall. I will be using Fourth Wall to generate my own merchandise. 2 t-shirts, and there's some normal apparel, mouse pads, journals. I want to work up, actually, going to the Samantha Bahar persona, I thought of creating a doll that would be like an action figure, like something like a Gem doll or Barbie doll of my Samantha Bahar likeness. But I want to have it interactive, so that when you have an accessory like a guitar or something to go along with the doll, it will enable the owner to sing through it. And something like Guitar Hero, it would hook up with the internet, it would hook up with the computer, so that the owner of the doll could interact and sing and develop her or his own um, singing ability. So I want it to be educational. I want it to be productive and no, educational. I want it to be video. I'm going to catch you up. There we go. More productive. So going back to something aside from Samantha Bahar, um, CapCut and Blender, and I know the limits. I'm better acquainted now with the limits of these different tools. I know Gemini. I tried so often to try to generate that opening, what's called a production logo that you see at the beginning. I wanted to replicate something you would see in Hulu. You may have noticed the Hulu logo, which is an animation, or at the beginning of a movie, you'll see like Paramount Pictures, you'll see the mountain with the stars flying in and then circling around the mountain. It tells you that this is distributed or produced, or I guess distributed by Paramount or was it Buena Vista. Do they have a logo? I know Columbia Pictures, TriStar. You get the idea. So I wanted to create my own, and that's what you saw at the beginning. It may improve, but when I was using Gemini, it could create the genie and the moon really well. I mean, surprisingly, stunningly well, much better than I found on ChatGPT, which is what I was using before. Oh, let me get back to the story. Oh, so sorry for leaving you off. My mind's kind of jumbled. I will work on storyboarding. I downloaded Storyboarder AI, which will enable me to storyboard and structure these different documentaries and so forth. So I was talking with my musician friend about this music stint or music, how to write music and songwriting for performing as Samantha Bahar. And so he recommended ChatGPT, and I started using that. I found that was really helpful to ask some basic questions. What's this like? How do you do this? How do you do that? For example, what are some common legal paperwork you would need in order to copyright or trademark Samantha Bahar's likeness or the name or whatever? Basic questions that are necessary. So I spent about 6 months in that. I started roughly around the time I was laid off, maybe a bit later, or maybe it was July. Anyway, then I ran into problems of reliability in terms of what information ChatGPT was giving me, the capabilities of generating video and still images and so forth. So I realized that I was often, when I didn't feel like getting out of bed and going to the desktop computer and asking ChatGPT, I found I was just using my iPhone. Yes, an iPhone 8. It's still working. It's so far. I know there's iPhone 17, and I simply don't have the money yet to upgrade from iPhone 8. But when I do, it'll be an incredible upgrade because there's probably a huge jump from iPhone 8 to iPhone 17. Anyway, I would just open up Safari, and I guess it's automatically triggering an option to go ask my question in AI mode. And then that opens, I guess it's opening Gemini. So I realized these answers seem to be more accurate than ChatGPT and more straightforward. I don't want, I don't want to feel reassured. Well, sometimes I do. I mean, if there's a mistake, I want to feel reassured. But I don't have AI psychosis. I don't want to become friends with AI. To me, it's a $20 a month slave. And for what I found I was able to get from Gemini for the same amount of money, for $20 a month, versus ChatGPT, there's no question, there's no doubt. I'm going to stick with Gemini for now. I mean, I, based on prior experience with ChatGPT, I started a new chat in Gemini, and I was simply talking about how I wanted to create a movie trailer for one of my movies that you've seen, you may have seen on my channel. I created a mock movie trailer, and I simply just started saying I want to create a movie trailer as a test, as a demonstration for an actual movie that I've been thinking about creating, pitching to somebody. That's where Vimeo comes in. And then all of a sudden, and I described, just in one paragraph, I just described what the theme was and the basic plot. And then all of a sudden it said generating video, and 1 to 2 minutes. And it created this video with stunning, I'm going to catch you up, stunning lifelike quality. And that's the video that you've seen in my channel that's called something like mock trailer. And of course, that's when I also moved from iMovie to what I learned about, which is CapCut, which is a step up. It's free. It's a step up from iMovie, which iMovie is basically for home movies, but this is more like for cinema. CapCut is more like for cinema, which is exactly the direction I'm going in. Anything with much more capability than iMovie. I want to test the limits of what's free, and then I want to use donations to buy me a coffee, donations to improve the quality of my documentaries and so forth, and entertaining content, and mock trailers to pitch to executives. This is what I want to produce. This is the movie I have in mind. And it costs a lot to hire actors and so forth. So the more I can create with AI and video generation, Blender, CapCut, sometimes Google, what's called Google Flow, which is AI video generation by Google, and a blend. I'm learning what each tool has as a strength and what each tool has as a weakness. So that's where I am. I want to go back to Samantha Bahar for a moment. So I have a discography that I want to collaborate with Claude on. I have, let me see, there's Gemini, which is good for efficient answers and some advice, but a little, it's not very human. Claude, on the other hand, is better at suggesting lyrics. So I definitely have ideas for my songs. I have a discography for 2 albums, well, actually 5 albums. And I shared my discography with Gemini. For each song track I had in mind, I wrote a paragraph about the subject matter, about what other songs inspired me, and the mood, so forth. And from these tools, I've gotten some suggestion as to the order of, or the sequential order, what songs would belong in which albums, and the sequential order within the album. And so Gemini gave me one suggestion. Well, ChatGPT gave me one suggestion, and then I fed that into that recommended album list for each album. And then I fed that to Gemini, and it concurred. It said, yeah, this makes sense. And then I fed that into, Claude, and it said, for the most part, yes. And it recommended 2 suggestions. It recommended 2 songs that perhaps should be swapped, rearranged, which is not that bad. It shows that, at least from this AI point of view, this help with AI, it's matching. There are no drastic differences. It's kind of reliable. But ultimately, I would want to share this discography, these notes, these paragraphs for the songs with human people, human friends, as opposed to my non-human friends on AI online. Yes, I have a life out there besides this channel. Um, so I'm excited about that. I have in mind Bison Disc for physical album distribution. Those would be CDs and so forth. And I learned about Riverside. I think it's Riverside FM. Maybe I'm confusing them. There's a way in which I can integrate my Bison Disc storefront, basically the albums as Samantha Bahar, with Amazon, so that it will be as seamless as possible. I want people to be able to go to Amazon and order the discs. So there's that. I'm building a foundation for a future career as a YouTube content creator. Hopefully that would lead to a real professional documentarian, filmmaker, and also Samantha Bahar. Now, of course, I know I need to lose weight and I need to do other things, but mainly lose weight around my waist. I'm being open about that. I might as well. I've been open about AI. Some people, some professionals have already expressed interest in collaborating with me. There's a record producer who knows about Samantha Bahar and is interested. There's a makeup artist who's expressed, a professional makeup artist who's expressed interest. Who I pitched it to her. When I say expressed interest, that means that I expressed this to the person and shared my photos, and they like them and they're interested in collaborating. So that's what that means. When I say they're interested, they've expressed interest. So I've got a makeup artist who can hopefully take my Samantha Bahar imagery, and I'll include that right here. I'm signaling here to myself for later editing. So you're seeing a few pictures, my latest pictures. I think they're pretty good, but I want to do better, and that takes me back to Gray Phillips. She started off having an audition, really, from what she mentions on her Facebook account. There were several different makeup artists and production teams that auditioned their look for her, and she chose what presumably is the best. And in some sense, that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to this person to see how my Samantha Bahar presentation can be upgraded. I also want to work on my voice. I certainly want to work on my voice. GarageBand, I'm going to use that more to create music, but not only to create music, but also so that I don't have to rely on things like Pixabay and free, there's a term for it, free music or free sound effects or whatever. If I can produce it myself, I don't have to worry about royalties. Ultimately, I want to reach the point where I'm producing this as much in-house, meaning in my own apartment, as possible, and I'll justify that nice ending credit scroll in my videos. That would make me seem more legitimate. I don't want to have my name repeated over and over. I know enough not to do that, but maybe if I have other collaborators, I can have their names included and make it seem more legitimate. I keep thinking of a filmmaker who's famous for creating his own movies. I guess I shouldn't really reveal his name because I don't know. I don't want backlash. But there are some independent filmmakers that are on that people enjoy talking about on the internet, that are known for their, let's just say unique quality, unique traits in their films. So he's constantly saying theatrical high quality theatrical films. He has 7 of them, or he's coming out with a 6th or 7th. Highly like professional theatrical films, and he says that like a zillion times. So that's the person I'm talking about. So I can see where he's coming from. I can understand where he's coming from, definitely. That's what I want to do. I want to create that illusion, going back to illusion, um, of producing producing an illusion that I'm actually a big company, like Hulu, like Amazon Prime. And as I'm talking now, I'm thinking back to high school and those kids that never took the time to learn who I am and learn how talented I am. That's not really true. That's, some of them did learn. Afterwards they got a chance to know me, and we've talked and we've chatted, and it's nice. I'm glad I had the opportunity to share that. Um, it also takes me back to television in the 1980s, when there wasn't any technology that we have today. Oh my gosh. And even then, I would watch Out of This World or Punky Brewster or 3-2-1 Contact. I'm just Alf, Misfits of Science. I'm just throwing them out. Star Trek. Wanting to do stuff like that and sitting, when I was even in high school, in elementary school especially, but middle school, high school, I would sit with my my notebook and I'd sketch out like my own ideas, what I wanted to create if I had the chance to create stuff like what I'm seeing on television. There's that huge gap. There was that huge gap, enormous gap between what I wanted to see, what I envisioned in my head, my own television series, like for example, a Jewish family sitcom, and I would watch the Dick Van Dyke Show. Of course, that's not a Jewish sitcom, but like me being Jewish, I wanted a sitcom of my own that represented Jewish family and other like Hispanic family sitcom, and like George Lopez comes to mind, like other ethnicities wanting to see themselves represented on television, and ideas for TV episodes, ideas for concepts like Get Smart. I was watching it when they had reruns, so they were not producing new stuff. But I was already thinking. I was sharing with my mom a show. I think I had Get Smart Again was the title of it, or Stay Smart. That was it. The title I had for my sequel show was Stay Smart. Now this is my fantasy. Stay Smart, and the son of Maxwell Smart would be Everett Smart. And of course, in the show, the original series, the 1960 series, he had a twin sister. Of course, they didn't name them. They just called them the twins. They were unnamed, but twin boy and girl. So I would name this main character in the sequel series, Everett Smart, and he would have a sister, and the two of them would be duo. Actually, at that point, I don't know what I had with the sister, but I had it being a Russian partner. He would be teamed up with a Russian partner. I thought that was nice. But I understood for Get Smart, and I understood with these other TV shows, the spirit, the drive, the original inspiration. And it's like I breathe. I understood this stuff on an emotional level, on a creative level, on a true heart level. Just as much as I breathe, I understood these things. And I really craved wanting to be a professional series creator, be a professional film producer. I grew up on Steven Spielberg's movies, and George Lucas' Star Wars movies, and even some of the other stuff. I couldn't watch Willow at the time. Kind of a side thing, and I don't know. I know he produced other stuff, but primarily Star Wars and fantasy film. Jim Henson and The Muppet Show. And by the way, they're in February. Sometime in February, they're going to have a special The Muppet Show. So I really craved. I really wanted to show these things, and part of the reason, I can't lie, part of the craving for wanting to show this was to show my inner self to the rest of the world, somewhat to the classmates I had. Not necessarily, it wasn't primarily on my mind, but I mean, I'll include them in. I mean, they're part of the public. I just I wanted to be able to express these different ideas. I mean, such a creative guy. And so, just like George Lucas said about the prequel films, he was waiting for technology to catch up to enable him to be able to create what he envisioned in his head. So, do I have anything more I want to say? I guess not. So, again, if you like this channel, please consider subscribing. It'll do me a world of good. I already have 130, something like 132 subscribers. Maybe it'll change to 103 subscribers by the time you see this. I've gotten a new microphone. This cable, and I have a new audio interface system. So I'm really trying. And talk to your friends. Share it with your friends if you like this content. I've talked enough about what kind of content I produce. So like it, drop comments. I haven't really seen any comments. So I want to hear what you think. I want to go live more often. So with that being said, I'll end the video now, and I'll talk with you next time. Bye. Oh, one more thing. I couldn't go to editing this video without telling you about something else. Last night, okay, so I was talking about my Gemini and the effort I am learning about these different tools, these different video tools, and CapCut and so forth. I know the strengths and weaknesses of Gemini now, and with CapCut, I know how to place the videos, the video files. For those of you who have done your own video editing, place the videos into what I'm using now, which is CapCut, in a timeline. So you have different levels in your timeline, and the timeline marker goes across like this as time progresses. And you can see the video preview of what it's going to look like once you click export. Well, I know how to do that. I know how to insert words and so forth in different layers. So you have a bottom layer, usually that's audio, and then a middle layer would be video, and a layer on top of that would be words or insertions or something like that. So, so I'm laying in bed, and let me see, what started me? I'm just learning how to integrate these different systems like Blender and Google Flow into my CapCut. Just thinking in my head, you know, I would use Blender for this, I would use Google Flow for that, and drop the files in and edit them together in CapCut. Well, let me see. So I likened it. I was chatting with Google, or with Gemini, which is Google's AI interactive thing where you chat software basically, and I was likening it to cell layer animation, where you have a background cell, which would be the bottom layer. For those of you who don't know, a quick recap of how cell animation occurs, because now everything's digital, I guess not everybody knows. You've seen Hanna-Barbera cartoons, right? Or something like that, where you have the background. Well, you don't want to have to animate, you don't have to, let me rephrase that. You don't want to have to animate the same bush over and over and over. So whatever is not moving, you can just have it as one cell, and then anything that's moving, you draw on a different cell. So Like, for example, you've probably noticed that Hanna-Barbera characters often have a thing around, and that's why Fred has his ascot or whatever he has. It's so that they don't have to draw the whole darn body, because um, if you have to draw the head moving or tilting or whatever, or talking, the jaw moving, um, and you don't have that cutoff, then to prevent color differences between, the color you use for the face and the color you use for the body. If they're wearing a low cut, if you can see there anything down here, to prevent it from not blending in, the color not blending in with the color used for the face, um, what you could do is add an ascot or a collar or something, so that they only have to create the body like this, like from here down, as a still cell, like a still image, and then they just have to animate the face for the rest of the scene. Or what they often do is just draw the face and the body, and then for the mouth, they keep that as a still image, and then they superimpose a moving mouth as a separate layer over the background being anything that's not moving, like the head and body, or the background, or the bushes, or whatever. You may have noticed that in cartoons you'd see the same bush and tree over and over. Well, that's because that they just had to draw a bush and a tree, and they just animate the people moving. All right, so that's a brief explanation of cell layer animation. Well, it occurred to me that in terms of blending these different AI things, that's what I'm doing in CapCut. I'm thinking about it in terms of a background, anything that's first of all not moving, or is relatively easy to generate. I can drop that file in and into the background layer, and then on top of that, in this timeline, on top of that, there would be a middle layer, and I can drop in perhaps stuff that was created by Google Flow and wasn't created by Blender. Blender is more of a 3D, a very high-tech, very elaborate, fancy video generator. So stuff that can't be generated by Blender could be perhaps created by Google Flow, and then I add those files into the middle layer, so that when you're seeing it, when it's compressed down to one layer, and when you click export, it compresses everything to one layer, so you just have one file. You wouldn't know the difference. You would just think that all of it was just generated as an image, as a video on your screen. And then you would add, if there are other incidental things, like text or like lettering, which Google Flow or just Google Gemini has a difficult time rendering. I know from past experience in this, as I talked about in this video, you can add those text artifacts, those text elements in the top layer. So this morning, maybe a little bit last night, but this morning I was thinking of that, and I had YouTube playing, and I thought about music, and this is something I thought about before. There would be a repeated, I don't know the exact name for it. Sometimes I've heard it called a back. It's not a backbeat, but in popular music, there's a repeated element, like da-dun, 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 da-dun. Or it's not even as elaborate as that. Usually it's like bum, 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 repeated over and over and over. And then you've got like certain instrumental bits, instrumental elements, in addition to that, ba-dum, 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 maybe strings or tambourines or something or other added in, and then you've got the vocal, typically be a single singer, like let's just Belinda Carlisle. You may have And then on top of that, you hear variations in notes and so forth, instrumental notes and so forth. And then you've got Belinda Carlisle singing. Well, I realize that is like cell layer animation. So one thing that helped me realize that is that when I was listening to this music on YouTube, I was imagining GarageBand, and I believe GarageBand has that same timeline, and it's identical, if I remember correctly, it's identical to a timeline that you would see in video editing software. So it was an easy thing. So, for example, if I'm producing a track as Samantha Bahar, I composed my music. I would have knowledge, more knowledge than I have now about what kinds of what you call the melodies. I'd have to learn about that. See, I got this book on melody and songwriting, and I'm going to continue reading it. It was highly recommended. In fact, I think it was ChatGPT recommended that book to get if I wanted to learn not necessarily the lyrics, but how to actually compose the melodies. So anyway, I'm going to learn more about that, but I'm going to learn about how to compose that simple that repeating pattern, and then also the what I would call flourishes that would go in the middle layer. And then I'm going to practice my vocals. It's one thing to speak like a woman, and I'm going to get vocal training on that. I reached out to somebody. The person hasn't replied, but the person was very good with techniques, has an excellent feminine voice, kind of indistinct. I think it's indistinguishable. So I want to develop my voice, and this channel will help just for the mere sake of seeming to do videos publicly. I'm not in front of an audience, but in some sense I've got the microphone now. I'm doing things more publicly. So in terms of stage fright, that'll lessen, and I'll learn how to do my vocals as well as my video. I'll improve on both. So I will record these tracks, and I'll learn how to assemble it myself. Of course, there will be a record producer, hopefully. Hopefully this person will continue to be interested, and I can collaborate with this person. That takes donation money and so forth. Anyway, I've talked about that earlier in the video. So I just wanted to share that nice realization, that nice recognition that cell animation is akin to those timelines in video editors and also in GarageBand. So, all right, now I'll leave you to next time. Thanks. Bye.